With today's video, what I wanted to do is piggyback on my statement of Charlemagne being a proud member of the Vote Blue No Matter Who gang by bringing into the fold Tamika Mallory. Tamika, like most other so-called black activists and celebrities, are very proud members of the Vote Blue No Matter Who gang. And in a recent interview with Talib Kweli on the YouTube channel Uproxx Video, she pretty much cemented her loyalty to the Democrats by showing absolutely no regret for fooling black Americans into voting for Biden, who has literally done absolutely nothing for black Americans by way of legislation that exclusively addresses the issues plaguing the black community in the same way that he's done for all other groups, such as the AAPI, LGBTQ, and Hispanic community by way of immigration. And just as a reminder, yes, immigration is a Hispanic issue, given the fact that Hispanics make up 75% of all undocumented immigrants compared to black immigrants who make up a mere 6%. Now, before we dive deep into this interview, it's important to quickly establish who Tamika Mallory actually is. You see, voting blue no matter who is in her DNA because she has almost literally spent her whole life being groomed by professional ambulance chaser Al Sharpton. Mallory was born in Harlem, New York City to Stanley and Von Sil Mallory in New York City. She grew up in Manhattanville houses in Manhattan and moved to Co-op City in the Bronx when she was 14. Her parents were activists and founding members of Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network, a leading civil rights organization throughout the United States. Their work in NAN influenced Mallory and her interest in social justice and civil rights. Mallory became a staff member of NAN when she was 15 years old and was later named its executive director in 2009. After working at NAN for 14 years, Mallory stepped down from her position as executive director in 2013 to follow her own activism goals, but still takes part in NAN's work, attending rallies and recruiting members. Now, if you're paying attention to your screen right now, what you're looking at are 10-year-old clips of Tamika on Al Sharpton's MSNBC show, Politics Nations. Now, I'm not going to waste my time playing these clips because they're not really talking about anything, but just know and understand that these are her media training days when Al Sharpton was grooming her live on air, preparing her for the current moment that she's in. Now let's get into her interview with Talib Kweli.
You talk in your book about voting, and you talk about you voted for Kamala Harris, and you talked about Biden and not really having any expectations of him as an old white man.
Brothers and sisters, I really could end the video here and say case closed because that statement in and of itself is profoundly ignorant and immature. Kamala Harris was not running for president. Joe Biden was. Not only that, she encouraged black Americans to vote for Joe Biden while admittedly having no expectations of him doing anything for black America. And if you go back and watch this interview, when Talib says these things, she's shaking her head up and down with a smug look on her face, talking about as if she's done something honorable. And we wonder why black Americans are politically failing so miserably. It's because of these state-appointed black leaders like Tamika Mallory.
But I guess my question for you is, many activists rightfully criticize Kamala Harris' spotty record on criminal justice education. Biden himself has these clear blind spots when it comes to race. You criticized the 94 crime bill in your book, which he was heavily involved in. Is it tough to justify your vote for them, given their record?
But no, hell no, I don't. I mean, listen, anybody with good sense that was paying attention to what was going on knows very, very well why at the time we were presented with these two options, we had no choice. Those of us who were going to vote, as you said.
If you choose to participate, then
you
these
didn't
are
have
the
a
choices.
choice of the two.
Right.
And no, I don't feel like regretful at all. Cause I just, I'm frustrated with America in general every single day.
And for context, you have been actively calling out the Biden administration.
And I said that. I said
the whole time.
I said we were going to have to fight.
Yeah.
We said that. We were ready. We like, okay, we know we're going to have to fight. But at least we know who to fight. At least there's a person you could call on the phone and say, meet me outside at 3:00.
Right.
And the Trump administration, there was nobody to even get on the phone over there. Right. I mean, you talking about a administration full of people who could care less, literally.
Yeah. Last time I checked, Ice Cube had no problem getting Trump on the phone. It was Biden-Harris that told him to F off. Second, I want you to watch out for the type of language that she's using. talking about we gonna have to fight, and I knew it was gonna be a fight. Notice how it's only a fight when it comes to Black Americans. It wasn't a fight for Native Americans to get their $31 billion from Biden. It wasn't a fight for the AAPI community to get their hate crime bill with an added $50 million from Biden. It wasn't a fight for the LGBTQ to get their executive order. And it wasn't a fight for immigrants to get their executive order. But when it comes to Black folks, it's going to be a fight, y'all. So we just got to vote blue no matter who. Because apparently that's our only shot at winning the fight, even though we've been doing this since 1964 and it hasn't worked yet. Now let's also address when she stated we didn't have any other choice but to vote for Biden. That's a lie. There are third and fourth party candidates, so that simply is not true. And even outside of that, the greatest thing Black Americans could have done was form their own party and get behind it. But Tamika would disagree with me on that because she doesn't believe Black Americans are ready to leave the Democratic Party. Now, I don't want to speak on her behalf. I'll just let her tell it from this clip of Tamika that I played on my live stream back in May of this year titled Diddy, Tamika Mallory, and NAACP's Derek Johnson proves how in control the DNC is over Black politics. I don't understand how you can sit up here in one breath with all of her power and influence that she does have, and she does have quite a bit of influence. You could sit up here and tell me and tell us that I understand that the Democratic Party has failed us over and over again, and that these candidates haven't been any good, and we have justifiable reason to not like them. Yet in the same breath, you will not advocate for us to separate from them. You actually create excuses for why we shouldn't, and saying that Black folks apparently aren't ready. So let's get into that final clip.
I'm not sure that Black people have reached the point that we are prepared to separate ourselves 100% from the Democratic Party. I hope it's something that we do soon, because I certainly am not comfortable, being a diehard member of the Democratic Party. And in fact, I challenge Democrats all the time. And so I'm not invited into the Democratic spaces, the parties and the whole thing. I'm not invited to those places, and that's fine with me. But I'm not sure that we're at the point where we're ready to separate 100%. What I do think that we are willing to do, or we're ready to do, is to start what is a party in development that gets us on the same page, so that when it is time for us to vote, we're moving as a block.
Translation: you ninjas are just too dumb to give it a go on your own. So vote blue no matter who. And also, don't let it go over your head that she never gives you an example of what being ready actually looks like. The reason for that is because she has no intention on ever leading Black folks off of the Democratic plantation. Now let's get back into the Talib interview.
When I looked at President Biden and at the time candidate Biden, I know we were bleeding out. Now, some folks may not understand what it looks like to have federal judges being put into place across the country quietly. They weren't even talking about this on the news every day. But the courts were literally being taken over by conservative judges, being put in place by the Trump administration, who are and see, I fight for people who go through the courts.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. You see, for professional ambulance chasers, the court is where they make their money, their name, and their fame. Even if they're not getting a percentage of the settlement directly, they benefit through the name recognition that comes through being associated with said victim. And this is exactly what Tamir Rice's mother was sounding the alarm on. Never forget when after Tamika gave her little fake speech at the Grammys, Samaria saw right through the BS and was courageous enough to call it out, saying, "I'm tired of you Black Lives Matter, Tamika Mallory and crew, expletives, that's riding these families' backs, and y'all ambulance chasing attorneys, Ben Crump, Lee Merritt too. Y'all have effed our fight up, and y'all can kiss my expletive too. Make it make sense. You can't. Working with the devil is easy to do. F y'all." Samaria Rice would go on to say, "I have tried to stay off this expletive. Tamika and crew, you expletives chasing clout, along with Sonny, Crump, and Lee. Y'all have literally effed our fight up. I hope not another family soul used y'all to represent them. Now let's see what else Tamika had to say in this interview.
So I know that that's very, very serious for us. I know the Supreme Court getting stacked with a bunch of conservatives that do not support us gets us more things like what's happening in Texas with abortion.
Yeah.
Right? I know that. So I'm looking at the macro level of trying to put the Band-Aid on.
Ladies and gentlemen, abortion has been one of the worst things that ever happened to the Black community. Abortion impacts African Americans at a higher rate than any other population group. In 2011, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released an abortion surveillance report. According to that report, Black women make up 14% of the childbearing population, yet 36% of all abortions were obtained by Black women, at a ratio of 474 abortions per 1,000 live births. Black women have the highest ratio of any group in the country. When you use those percentages, it indicates that of the over 44 million abortions since the 1973 Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling, 19 million Black babies were aborted. I repeat, when you use those percentages, it indicates that of the over 44 million abortions since the 1973 Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling, 19 million Black babies were aborted. African Americans are just under 13% of the United States population. Abortion completely destroyed the Black community. And now we are out here grossly outnumbered, on pace to becoming fourth on the population list by 2065. You're losing wards and districts throughout all major cities in the country, and you're losing your city council seats to the point to where now non-citizens are able to vote in New York City local elections. And trust me when I say you all don't share the same interests. But if you ask our great Black leader Tamika Mallory about abortion, apparently it's a good thing that we should be fighting for. Brothers and sisters, all of her talking points are typical Democratic Party vote blue no matter who talking points. Now, I can go on and on about this interview because it was all such BS, especially when she began making excuses on why she didn't support Ice Cube, using this lame excuse about how Ice Cube's timing was off, and that's why she couldn't get behind him. It was all nonsensical babble. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave this right here because you all get the point. The vote blue no matter who gang is extremely dangerous, and what I've proven to you over the course of my last two videos is that people like Tamika Mallory and Charlamagne the God are more than conscious of the fact that who they told you to vote for would not do anything for you, yet they told you to vote for him anyways. These people are 100% complicit in the destruction of the Black community. And with all that being said, please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those who have issues with joining Patreon, you could also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you have not already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.